In a secret government facility, a group of scientists watches Lena, who feels rather disorientated at the moment. Lomax asks her what she ate during her mission since she had rations for 2 weeks yet she was inside for nearly 4 months, but Lena doesn't remember eating. Then Lomax asks about her teammates, but Lena doesn't remember how they died either. Since Lomax insists she should share what she does know, Lena decides to start from the beginning. Almost 2 years before Lena's mission, a meteor falls on the southern coast of the USA, crashing into a lighthouse and leaving a glowing mist surrounding it. Meanwhile, Lena works as a biology professor at the university. One day after class, fellow professor Daniel asks her to come over to his place for a barbecue with his family on Saturday, but Lena claims to have plans. Daniel points out it's been a year since her husband went missing and that she's allowed to move on, but she ignores him. Lena then spends her Saturday crying at home while remembering all the happy times with her husband Kane, who had been deployed on a special forces mission and never came back. Later, while she's painting the bedroom, Kane suddenly appears outside the door. Shocked, Lena freezes for a moment before running to embrace him and they share a kiss. Kane looks lost and disturbed as Lena began to ask him questions about what happened, but Kane doesn't remember anything about the mission, not even the location or how he came back. Suddenly Kane picks up a glass of water on the table to take a sip and says he isn't feeling well, revealing there's blood on the glass. Afterward, the couple leaves in an ambulance, where Kane keeps getting worse. As Lena yells at the paramedics to do something, a bunch of black SUVs surround the ambulance and force it to stop, then government agents force Lena out. She yells and struggles against the kidnapping, but she immediately gets sedated while Kane fails to get the attention he needs. Sometime later, Lena wakes up in the secret facility, coughing out the after effects of the sedative. A psychologist known as Ventress tries to check on her, but Lena is more worried about her husband. After pointing out that Lena had been in the military before becoming a professor, Ventress asks Lena how much she knows about Kane's secret mission, but Lena swears she knows nothing and that he never contacted her while he was away. Then Ventress informs her Kane's also in the facility, but he's extremely sick and has been diagnosed with multiple organ failure plus massive internal bleeding. She takes Lena outside the facility and shows her a huge glowing wall surrounding the nearby area as she explains it has been expanding from the crash site for the past 3 years and they call it the Shimmer. The first person to investigate it was a warden, but he never returned. Afterward, the government got drones animals, and people were sent to check it out as well, but once again nobody returned. Kane had been part of the team sent into the Shimmer and to this day he's the only survivor. Next, Lena goes to visit Kane, who is unconscious and kept alive by machines. Watching him makes Lena remember a time before Kane left. They had been on the bad talking, laughing, and being overall affectionate, but Lena had been worried because the mission was more secretive than usual. Ventress wonders if Lena wants to go home, but Lena says she wants to stay with her husband. Later in the evening, Lena watches the Shimmer and is approached by paramedic Anya, who explains Lena isn't alone in feeling lost and introduces her to the other scientist girls that are also working on this case, physicist Roddick and geomorphologist Shepard. The girls share the work they've been doing here for months, then they explain that in 6 days they'll enter the Shimmer to investigate together with Ventress. Their current theories say that the people there either got killed by something or they went crazy and killed each other. They know only one person has survived so far, but Lena doesn't tell them it's her husband. Later, Lena visits Kane and tells him she knows why he took the mission and that she'll do the right thing to help him. The next day, Lena asks Ventress to let her join the team so she can find a way to help Kane because she can't do anything here. In the present, Lomax wonders why Lena would do such a thing knowing how it could end, but Lena just says she owed Kane. Back to the story, a few days pass and the 5 women begin their expedition. Nervous but determined, they cross the glowing wall, only for everything to suddenly go black. Then it's revealed that Lena had an affair with Daniel, but this is a dream she's having inside a tent. When she wakes up, she finds herself in the camp with the other women inside the Shimmer, yet she can't remember anything since they crossed the tree line. The other scientists are having the same issue, yet food inventory reveals they've been there for 3 or 4 days. Roddick tries to communicate with the base, but none of the machines that send a signal are working, and the compass is going crazy. Fortunately, Shepard knows how to use a wristwatch to orient themselves. Then women pick up camp and start making their way to the lighthouse. Eventually they come across a river with a submerged cabin, so they enter it to investigate. Lena notices the very peculiar plants, pointing out they must be mutated because they're all different flowers yet they're growing from the same branch. All the scientists proceed to take samples and Roddick proceeds to search the house. When she tries to leave, something drags her back into the water by her bag. The team rushes to help Roddick and struggles in the water for a while until they manage to get her out. Second later, they watch how a large albino alligator leaves the house and comes after them. The scientists panic and shoot blindly, but Lena remembers her years in the army and keeps calm, proceeding to shoot the alligator properly until it's dead. Then they inspect the animal up close and while taking samples, Lena confirms the alligator is mutated as well. In the present, Lena explains mutations were subtle at first but they grew more complex the closer they came to the lighthouse. Lomax wonders if it was possible that everything they saw had been hallucinations, but Lena doesn't think it possible since they all saw the same thing. When Lomax calls it nightmarish, Lena corrects him and says it was dreamlike, because many times they could see how beautiful everything the simmer created was. Back to the story, after lots of walking the team found 2 boats and took them to cross a river. Shepard and Lena chat all the while and Lena shares she used to be in the army. In return Shepard explains they're all damaged goods, which explains why they'd volunteer for such a mission, since happy people don't do these things. Anya used to be an addict. Roddick hides the scars on her arms because she had self-destruct tendencies. Ventress has no friends or family, and Shepard lost her daughter to leukemia. Sometime later, the team finds the abandoned headquarters of the Southern Reach, now destroyed by the Shimmer. Lena notices more mutations on the wall and compares them to tumors before they head inside. On the floor they find the things that belong to the last team sent here, and a list of names indicates the soldiers had been keeping watch. Lena is devastated to see Kane's name on the list but still doesn't tell the truth. After agreeing they should also keep watch, they find a bag that says for those that follow. Inside there's a memory card that Roddick puts in her camera, then the team watches with horror the recording. Kane and his friends are holding down a soldier while they open his stomach, revealing some kind of living organism. Yet the soldier never yells or complains. The women immediately drop the recording and argue over if it was real or not. Then they keep looking around and find the room where the recording happened, discover the knife still in the water and the wounded soldier stuck on the wall, mutated to the point he's become an overgrown colony of some kind of organism. Some of the scientists don't want to stay in such a creepy place for the night, but they have no choice since it's already too late to keep going. That night, Lena dreams of the day Kane left for his mission and realizes he must have accepted the risk because he knew of her affair. Lena wakes up rather upset and decides to distract herself by looking at the samples she took on her telescope, but the glowing cell she sees only upsets her more. Then Lena goes to see Ventress, who is keeping watch outside. After having seen the recording, Ventress thinks Lena had been right to hide the fact Kane's her husband or nobody would have taken it well. Since Ventress is the psychologist and she profiled all the team members, Lena asks her why Kane accepted this mission, but Ventress only says that everyone here has self-destruct tendencies, which isn't the same as wanting to end things for themselves. At that moment, they hear a weird noise and when they check with the binoculars, they discover a hole in the fence. Roddick and Anya suddenly join them and explain something that took Shepard while they were sleeping. Then they begin hearing Shepard screaming and they finally notice a fearsome mutated bear taking her into the forest. The next morning, the team discusses how to proceed. Roddick points out they've already got proof that the soldiers went crazy, so she and Anya agree they should go back. However, Ventress refuses because the mission goals include gathering data from the lighthouse. Roddick and Anya ask Lena whose side she's in, so Lena says she also thinks they should go back, but the fastest way to do that is to go to the lighthouse and take the coast route because they're already too deep into the Shimmer to survive the forest again. In the present, Lomax explains Ventress had cancer and was ready not to come back, but he also thought Lena lied to the others. Lena confesses she did lie because she still wanted to find a way to help Kane. Back to the story, the scientists leave the facility and come across Shepard's bloody shoe. Lena tells the others to wait while she searches for their friend to confirm if she's alive or not, and goes deeper in the forest, where she sees 2 mutated antelopes running in sync. Then Lena finds Shepard's body lying among tree roots. After taking a moment to grieve, she returns to the team to share the bad news. The team keeps going and eventually reach a town that has been taken over by vegetation. They stop there to rest and discover a bunch of plants imitating the shapes of human beings. Lena confirms they've grown that way naturally, giving Roddick an idea. After checking her gadgets again, Roddick confirms signals aren't disappearing, they're actually scrambled. The Shimmer is a prism and it refracts everything, not just lights and signals but also DNA. That means the plants are copying people and one of the antelopes had been a copy of the other. While checking out a house, Anya notices something is moving under the skin of her hands, but she doesn't say anything. Later, while everyone sleeps, Lena takes some of her own blood to check it under the microscope and watches a cell divide covered in shimmer. When she goes to sleep, she dreams again of her affair with Daniel and the day she tried to end it. Daniel had tried to point out they were intellectual equals and that Kane was always away, but Lena felt guilty because she was sure Kane knew about them. Lena wakes up to find Anya pointing a gun at her face, calling her a liar. Then Anya ties all her partners up as she reveals she's found Lena's locket and knows about Kane. Crying, she starts losing her mind, calling everyone a liar because nobody actually saw the bear and confessing her worries about the weirdness on her hands. As Anya gets her knife ready to hurt Lena, they suddenly begin hearing Shepard screaming for help outside the cabin. Anya rushes outside thinking the truth is here, only to disappear as well. Seconds later, the mutated bear enters the house as it repeats Shepard's cries for help as a way to attract prey. The bear comes closer and sniffs around the women, but when it's about to attack, an injured anyway shows up and shoots it. The bear immediately retaliates and kills her by chopping off her jaw. Then it tries to go after Lena, who has fallen to the floor and barely can do any fighting, but luckily Roddick manages to free herself and shoots the bear until it's properly dead. Moments later, Ventress announces she's leaving because they're all disintegrating and she was the one who began the expedition, so now she wants to be the one who ends it. The next morning, Lena tells Roddick that the Shimmer is in her, and Roddick thinks it'll soon be in everyone. She doesn't want to fight the Shimmer like the others or have her DNA fuse with a bear's, instead she wants to accept the Shimmer. Finally accepting the scars on her arms as part of her, Roddick walks into the forest and Lena tries to follow her, but she can't see her anywhere, there are only people-shaped plants. In the present, Lomax is suspicious of the fact only Lena survived, but Lena can't offer any other explanations. Back to the story, Lena crossed the forest alone and in tears while remembering how she slowly destroyed her own marriage. Eventually she makes it to the coast and behind the glowing sand and glass-like trees, she finds the lighthouse. There are human skeletons around and a weird mutation on the lighthouse wall where the meteor hit. The mutation is inside the lighthouse as well, ending in a hole in the wall. There's a burnt skeleton sitting on the floor and a camera facing it, so Lena checks the recording only to find Kane sitting on the skeleton spot. On the tape, Kane talks about his mind being disoriented and how he wasn't able to bear this anymore. He also asks the person behind the camera to contact Lena if he ever gets out. Then Kane activates a phosphorus grenade and his whole body burns in glowing flames before a second Kane appears on the camera, supposedly a copy made by the Shimmer. Afterward Lena hears some noises and enters the hole in the wall, where she finds Ventress with a mutated face. When she turns around she looks normal, and she says the Shimmer will encompass everything and humans would all become fragmented into small parts until nothing remains, a process known as annihilation. Then Ventress disintegrates into small glowing particles that hover in the air for a while before they combine into a glowing nebulous structure. When Lena comes closer to watch, a drop of her blood falls inside and the structure takes a human shape. Terrified, Lena tries to shoot it but the bullets cause no damage at all, so she runs away instead, only to find the figure already waiting for her in the room. Every move Lena makes the figure copies exactly, so Lena tries to attack it, but the figure does the same. As Lena falls to the floor in pain, the creature lays down next to her because it can't stop copying no matter what she does. Lena tries to run again, and the creature goes after her, keeping her trapped against the door. Understanding the creature isn't attacking her but imitating her, Lena lets herself fall and the figure does the same. Then Lena grabs another grenade and puts it in the creature's hands as it begins taking a new shape, copying Lena's from head to toes. After activating the grenade, Lena runs outside and the creature crawls into the hole, where the fire catches on the whole structure. Soon the whole lighthouse and all the mutations that surround it burn down as well while Lena watches. In the present, Lomax is pleased to confirm the Shimmer had been an alien and wonders what it wanted, but Lena says it didn't want anything. It never attacked, it was only imitating, and it never tried to destroy, in fact it was changing things, evolving them to make something new. Then Lomax explains they've sent a team to check the area, but the Shimmer is gone. As soon as everything burned down, Kane woke up feeling better. Lena immediately goes to see him and asks if he's really Kane. He says he doesn't think he is. Then he asks if she's really Lena, and she doesn't know how to answer. The two of them reunite with a hug, revealing a glow in their eyes. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching.